If you're still buying vinegar in the 21st century, you're wasting money. In today's video, I'm gonna show you how to save a ton and make a ton of your homemade vinegar. Let's go. So once I figured out that any vinegar you could buy at the store, you can make at home for pennies on the dollar, absolutely blew my mind, and it became so incredible to all the possibilities that I could make at my house. So whether you're making a rice vinegar, an apple cider vinegar, a Chardonnay vinegar, or a balsamic vinegar, or even a malt vinegar, you can make them all at home, and once you figure out how to make one, you can basically make them all because they all follow the same process. So let's get into it. So when it comes to making your own vinegar at home, it is incredibly simple. It's a two-step process broken down into one simple step because you don't need to have all of the commercialization steps that a lot of the commercial operations take to make a really pretty vinegar. What we're gonna do is we're essentially gonna be making a wild vinegar. It's the way people have been making vinegar for thousands of years, and it essentially traps wild yeast cultures, which are ever present in your air, and that's how you make things like sourdough bread even. And then you're also trapping wild bacterial cultures, which are also in your air. If you're a germaphobe, look away, but there are germs everywhere, and these beneficial bacteria are present in the air. We're breathing them in every single day. And when you leave something open to the air, that allows that bacteria and yeast to come in. And if it's the right type of bacteria or yeast, or it's the right type of environment, you're going to basically create that environment that's going to be able to create your own vinegar. So every vinegar starts with a carbohydrate source, whether that be barley and hops, like in a malt vinegar, or whether it be a Chardonnay, which is grapes, right? Grape juice, right? That creates Chardonnay wine, which then can get broken down into Chardonnay vinegar. Whether it's apple cider vinegar, which just starts with apple cider, or whether it's even rice vinegar, which actually has the rice as the carbohydrate source that gets broken down into making rice wine. In today's episode, we're going to be making a apple cider vinegar using apple cider we pressed ourselves. We're going to be making a malt vinegar just using a cheapo bottle of beer. And we're also going to make a white wine vinegar just using a cheapo bottle of white wine. Very, very simple. Now, it's a two-step process because the first step is actually creating an alcohol, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to ferment our carbohydrate source to create alcohol. That alcohol is actually comprised of yeast. Yeast in the air will break down the sugars in our carbohydrate source to create alcohol. And that ethanol actually is what creates an acidic environment that kills off all of the, all the other bacteria and yeast so that only one yeast culture can actually survive. And then once all of that carbohydrate source has been consumed, you then have an environment that is very, very acidic. And because it's so acidic, it actually then only can be broken down a second time by a very special type of bacteria. And that bacteria is known as an extremophile. And an extremophile is a type of bacteria that can survive in an extreme environment, whether it be a very low temperature, a very high temperature, whether it be a very acidic environment. And this extremophile is known as acetic acid bacteria. And what it does is it actually comes into the alcoholic environment and then does a second breakdown process that turns that ethanol environment, that ethanol-rich environment, alcohol, into vinegar. Super simple, happens every day. It'll literally happen whether you know it or not, sitting on the counter. You don't have to do anything because it's always present in the air. And that's what's really cool about making wild vinegars. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna prep our carbohydrate source. So we're gonna start with a little bit of sugar. This is just unbleached raw sugar. We're gonna take about 2 heaping scoops of just regular raw sugar. That's gonna help add that carbohydrate source, which is really going to get the fermentation going. Then we're gonna add our fresh pressed apple cider. You can omit the addition of white sugar, but the fact is that depending on your apple source, it may be slightly lower in sugar content. And if it's lower in sugar content, shouldn't have gone that high. That's a mistake. Because when this ferments, it's going to actually create a lot of bubbles. So I'm gonna dump a little bit of this out. Ideally, you want about 2.5 inches of headspace, and you want to leave the top open because of the fact that this is going to create a lot of gas. You do not want to put a cap on this. It'll ferment a lot. If you do want to cap it, use an airlock. I will try to remember to post a link to an airlock that I've used in the past with great success. I got it from Amazon, it worked really well. It basically allows the gas created to escape, but doesn't allow air back in. And this will actually create that alcoholic environment that you're looking for when you're making apple cider vinegar. You're literally just gonna let this sit on the countertop. It's that simple. Stir it every 2-3 days or so until you notice the fermentation stopping. And that is when your first ferment is done. That is when you've converted all available sugars into alcohol. You've created a hard cider, right? So you've created a hard cider that then is alcohol rich, and you need to then incorporate in the beneficial bacteria, the acetic acid bacteria, which are present in your air, into the apple cider, the hard apple cider. So this apple cider we made ourselves. It is incredibly simple. Now you can just go out and buy your own apple cider if you want, but making it is just as fun. We got a apple cider press, and my uncle brought his over. We've been using it. It's a tradition of ours. And basically all we do is we grind the apples up. There's a little grinder that chunks them up into, kind of shreds them up, and then it drops them into a bucket. And then from there, you use a crank. It basically presses those apples and compresses them, squeezing out those apple chunks and resulting in the apple cider or the apple juice coming out from basically a mesh bag. And that's how we do it. But you can use a centrifugal juicer just by throwing them in there. You can make your own apple cider that way. Or like I said, you can, if you don't want to go through the whole process of making your own, you can go buy it. Now, one quick last little note here is that if you're using apple cider that's pasteurized from the store, it's going to take about 5 to 7 days longer because it'll take time for that native yeast to actually colonize the cider, because we're using apple cider that was from unpasteurized sources, raw right from the field. We press them down, and all of that, there's bacteria on the skin of the apple. We washed them, obviously, but there's still going to be strains of bacteria. It has not been pasteurized, meaning it's not been heated up to a point that sterilizes the solution. So this is actually going to make a much faster apple cider vinegar than one you buy from the store, but both will work. Then the final thing I will say too is that I have found in my experience that when using pasteurized apple cider, it's sometimes nice to add that little bit of starter, that little apple cider vinegar starter, that seed vinegar, into your solution, because it's going to speed that process up and really help you to kind of expedite that process. And also, you want to make sure that you always leave it open to the air, because this has been open to the air and lots of air has gotten in, but you don't want to put a cap on it. Otherwise, that will absolutely ruin the process and could even create pressure, which creates an explosion in your kitchen, which you don't want. All right, so we're gonna pretend like we fast forwarded 2 weeks and this has since fermented and the carbonation is done. All of the bubbles have stopped and it's basically now hard apple cider. Now, what you're going to find is that when the bubbles stop, you're actually going to then it's gonna be giving off a very pungent odor. And that pungent odor is the beginning of the actual apple cider making process. Because like I said, you're gonna have those native yeast cultures as well as native bacterial cultures already in the air. And this will most likely, at the point in which the carbonation stops or the fermentation stops, you're going to start then incorporating in automatically those beneficial bacterial cultures that are gonna be turning the hard apple cider into apple cider vinegar before your very eyes. No other processes are needed. But we have some hard apple cider here, okay? And this right here is an alcoholic environment. And some people feel safer using what's known as a seed vinegar. Now, I have made apple cider vinegar many times not using seed vinegar. It's not necessary because the bacteria is literally everywhere. But if you feel safer, you can get some apple cider vinegar with the mother still in the bottom. You want to get some unprocessed, unfiltered apple cider vinegar with the mother. That is going to have the seed bacteria still present in this apple cider, or this apple cider vinegar, I should say. And all you need is literally a splash. And that little splash with the mother still in the apple cider vinegar is going to basically incorporate all of that beneficial bacteria into your alcoholic apple cider, your hard apple cider, and it will then start to turn this into apple cider vinegar over the course of about 1.5 to 2 weeks or so. What about a nice malt vinegar? Well, go with a nice stout IPA or like a lager, and just take, this is just a cheapo beer, take that, you have your alcoholic environment. And all you need to do is, as I said, let this sucker sit out. Cover it with a coffee filter and a rubber band, and all you need to do is let it sit out. And that bacteria will enter that cheapo beer right there, and it will convert that alcohol, that ethanol, into, quite literally, a really nice malt vinegar that you can use on fish and chips. Here's a cheapo bottle of white wine. This whole bottle cost me $7, okay? You guys are gonna be thinking that I'm literally crazy when I say this. This is all you have to do. It's a very simple process that's been done for thousands of years, and just let it set out. Let it set out until you get that nice aroma of rather than alcohol, you get vinegar. Once you get those high notes of vinegar, then all you have to do is just make sure you put a cap on it, and it's literally shelf stable. That's what's so great about this, is the only bacteria that can survive in this, because it's gonna be such a low pH. It's so acidic. Due to that acidic bacteria that's literally present everywhere, is it will kill off any other forms of bacteria, whether that be botulism, whether that be mold, whether that be anything else. It's going to actually start to turn that into an environment that only the acetic acid bacteria can survive in, meaning it's shelf stable. And so same thing goes for rice vinegar. You can literally just take rice wine, cheapo rice wine, and break that down into rice vinegar, same exact process. And so, yeah, that's how to make vinegar from apples. Well, that's how to make lots of different vinegars from different sources. But if you guys enjoyed, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and let me know in the comments box down below if you've made your own vinegars. There's so many other ones you can make as well. There's vinegars you can make from berries, right? You can make a sipping vinegar from, it's called a shrub. You can take blackberries and crush them down and ferment those, and you have a shrub, a sipping vinegar, right? So many different options. It's incredible. The options are endless, and you're gonna save a ton of money. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you all learned something new, and we'll catch you all on the next episode. As always, grow bigger.